Everything you've been told about the ultra-wealthy is a lie. It's a carefully constructed illusion built to keep you believing in a dream that was never real. They say they worked harder, that they started from nothing, that you could be just like them if you tried hard enough. But what if I told you that's the biggest scam of all? Because the truth is, billionaires don't play by the same rules as the rest of us. They never have. They built their wealth on loopholes, deception, and a system designed to keep them at the top, while keeping you exactly where you are. And it's not just one lie, it's an entire web of lies, each thread carefully spun to reinforce the next, trapping us in the belief that billionaires are good for society. Think about it. We've been taught that too much of anything is bad. Too much power, dangerous, too much control, corrupting. Poverty, the absence of money, is seen as bad. But somehow, we're supposed to believe that having too much money isn't? That billionaires hoarding wealth is perfectly fine? That's the contradiction they never want you to see. Because when one person has too much money, they don't just buy mansions or private jets. They buy influence. They buy politicians. They buy the laws that govern society. And when that happens, the system no longer serves the people, it serves them. And today we're pulling back the curtain. We're exposing the lies they've told us, one lie at a time. And once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. The self-made myth. Say they started with nothing, that success came from grit, relentless work, and a stroke of genius. No handouts, no privilege, just hard work and determination. Built this company from the ground up. If I can do it, so can you. It's the story that fuels headlines, books, and motivational speeches, the ultimate proof that the system is fair. The only thing separating you from billions is effort, but that's a lie. The self-made myth is powerful because it offers hope. If billionaires rose from nothing, maybe we can too. It's the American dream repackaged, the promise that talent and hard work lead to unimaginable wealth. And there's another reason this belief sticks. If billionaires are self-made, they deserve their wealth. No need for redistribution, no questioning power, just admiration and aspiration. But the data tells a different story. Brookings Institution study found that over 60% of U.S. billionaires inherited significant wealth or financial connections. Only 6% came from poor or working-class backgrounds. The Urban Institute confirms that family wealth, not intelligence, innovation, or work ethic, is the strongest predictor of becoming ultra-rich. Even Forbes, which ranks billionaires, has been criticized for its misleading self-made label, often ignoring massive family wealth. In reality, almost every so-called self-made billionaire had a head start, family money, social connections, or government backing that most people will never get. If you're born into the top 1%, you're 77 times more likely to stay rich than someone born poor. And no one embodies this deception better than Elon Musk. His father, Errol Musk, owned an emerald mine in apartheid South Africa, giving the family immense wealth. When Musk started his first company, Zip2, his father provided $28,000 in funding, a luxury most entrepreneurs don't have. His next company, X.com, which became PayPal, wasn't a solo success. It merged with another company, and Musk was ousted as CEO before it became profitable. And Tesla? He didn't create it. He forced out the original founders and took credit. His companies, Tesla, SpaceX, and PayPal, thrived on billions in government subsidies and taxpayer funding. Musk didn't start from zero. He started several floors up, yet his entire persona hinges on the self-made illusion. So why does this myth persist? Because it's bigger than Musk. It protects every billionaire who benefits from it. If billionaires admitted they had a head start, the entire system would be exposed. We'd see that wealth isn't earned, it's protected, that the system isn't fair, it's rigged, that hard work alone won't make you rich, connections, capital, and control will. This lie justifies low taxes, corporate subsidies, and deregulation. It stops people from demanding a system that prevents extreme wealth accumulation. Because as long as you believe you could be the next Elon Musk, you won't fight for a world where billionaires can't exist. And once billionaires have control, They make sure no one else gets it. We create jobs. We provide livelihoods for millions. Our businesses drive the economy forward. Without us, there would be no jobs. Billionaires repeat this like a mantra, using it to justify their extreme wealth. The idea is simple. Their success fuels opportunity for everyone. If they thrive, so does the economy. It's a comforting belief. It reassures workers that their labor contributes to something bigger, that prosperity will eventually reach them. But does it? The job creator myth is one of capitalism's biggest deceptions. Yes, billionaires own companies that employ people, but that doesn't mean they're creating jobs. If billionaire wealth truly drove job creation, wages should have soared alongside their fortunes. Instead, in the past 40 years, billionaire wealth has risen over 1,100%, while wages have barely kept up with inflation. A report from the Economic Policy Institute found that CEO pay has grown 1,300% since 1978, while worker wages increased just 18%. That's not job creation, it's wealth extraction. Rather than expanding opportunities, automate jobs to eliminate workers. Suppress wages to maximize margins. Lobby against higher minimum wages to keep labor cheap. A Brookings Institution report warns that nearly 1 in 4 U.S. jobs is at risk of automation in the next decade. And when companies like Amazon expand, they don't create jobs, they eliminate them. Research from the National Bureau of Economic Research found that for every 1 job Amazon creates, 2.6 retail jobs disappear. Billionaires aren't job creators, they're profit maximizers, and the fewer workers they need, the richer they become. A 2019 study from the Institute for Policy Studies found that as billionaire wealth soared, employment at their companies barely grew or even shrank. Why? Because profits come first, and labor is just another cost to cut. When a corporate giant like Walmart moves into a small town, it doesn't create jobs, it destroys them. Walmart's lower prices and bulk inventory force local businesses to close, taking jobs with them. Instead of fueling growth, it consolidates power, leaving workers with fewer choices and lower pay. The company is also notorious for firing employees who attempt to organize for better wages and conditions. Another case study. Jeff Bezos didn't build Amazon by creating good jobs. Amazon warehouses are infamous for grueling conditions. AI tracks worker productivity. Employees are pushed to their physical limits, and many resort to urinating in bottles to avoid penalties. Even Amazon's much-hyped second headquarters didn't create new jobs. It relocated existing ones while securing billions in tax breaks. The truth? Billionaires prioritize wealth. Their success depends on keeping wages low, crushing competition, and ensuring workers stay powerless. We care about the environment. They stand on stages, pledge carbon neutrality, and pour billions into green projects. The message is clear. Billionaires are leading the fight against climate change. It's a powerful narrative. If the wealthiest individuals are committed to sustainability, then surely we're on the right track. And if they're making personal sacrifices for the planet, why shouldn't you? But peel back the glossy PR and the truth is far less noble. Billionaires and their corporations are some of the world's biggest polluters, not just through personal consumption, but through the industries they profit from. A 2022 Oxfam report found that the wealthiest 1% produce more carbon emissions than the poorest 66% combined. Their carbon footprints aren't just large, they're structurally embedded in the systems they refuse to change. While they promote green initiatives, their investments tell another story. A study in Nature Sustainability found that billionaires' portfolios remain deeply tied to fossil fuels, deforestation, and carbon-intensive industries. Oil companies, some of the worst offenders, knew about climate change as early as the 1970s. Instead of taking action, ExxonMobil, Shell, and BP spent decades funding climate denial and blocking regulations. Today, they rebrand as green energy leaders, while expanding oil drilling projects. Corporations have long shifted the blame onto consumers. The idea that individuals should be responsible for environmental damage didn't come from science. It was created by oil and plastic companies. In the 1970s, BP popularized the carbon footprint to make people feel guilty about their daily habits instead of questioning corporate pollution. The same strategy applies to recycling. Coca-Cola, Nestle, and PepsiCo, some of the biggest plastic polluters, fund recycling campaigns despite knowing that less than 10% of plastic ever gets recycled. The message? The planet's destruction is your fault, not theirs. Most eco-friendly products aren't as green as they claim. Tesla, hailed as a climate solution, relies on lithium, cobalt, and nickel mining, industries devastating ecosystems and displacing communities in Africa and South America. And while electric cars promise zero emissions, most are still charged by power grids running on fossil fuels. Tech billionaires claim their innovations, AI, data centers, and cryptocurrencies, are the future of sustainability. Yet a report by the International Energy Agency, IEA, found that the energy consumption of the global data industry now rivals that of entire nations. This isn't about saving the planet. It's about controlling the narrative. As long as billionaires can convince you they're the solution, they can keep polluting while you believe they're saving the world. We give back through charity. Billionaires love to remind us how much they give. Their names are on hospitals, universities, and global initiatives. They pledge fortunes to fight disease, poverty, and climate change. But beneath the grand gestures lies a more uncomfortable truth. Philanthropy isn't just generosity, it's power. It shapes policy, sidesteps taxes, and preserves the billionaire class. Charity lets the wealthy dictate how social problems are addressed, while avoiding democratic solutions like taxing the rich to fund public services. A report by the National Philanthropic Trust found that billionaire donors often fund projects that align with their own interests rather than community needs, reinforcing power dynamics instead of addressing systemic inequality. The Gates Foundation, for example, has poured billions into public health, yet critics point out how it prioritizes solutions that benefit pharmaceutical companies where Gates holds shares. Instead of funding universal health care, the money is directed toward private sector initiatives that keep corporate influence intact. The wealthiest Americans use philanthropy as a tax shelter. Richard Brifall of Columbia Law School explains that the U.S. tax code incentivizes massive charitable donations, allowing billionaires to reduce their tax burden while appearing generous. A Congressional Budget Office, as CBO report, found that tax deductions for charitable contributions overwhelmingly benefit the rich, often at the expense of public tax revenue. The result? Billionaires give, while ordinary taxpayers fill the gaps left by lost government funding. High-profile charity campaigns also serve as a PR tool. Books like Winners Take All by Anand Giridharadas argue that billionaire philanthropy reinforces power rather than challenging it. And for some, philanthropy isn't just about avoiding taxes, it's about keeping wealth in the family. By establishing private foundations, billionaires can pass down fortunes while sidestepping inheritance taxes. Levi's CEO Chip Bergh is just one example, using a foundation to preserve wealth for heirs while maintaining the illusion of generosity. Perhaps the biggest irony, the ultra-rich profit from the same problems they claim to fix. Jeff Bezos pledged $10 billion for climate action, yet Amazon has spent years lobbying against environmental regulations. The Sackler family funded addiction treatment centers while profiting from the opioid crisis they fueled. In countries like Norway and Denmark, wealth redistribution happens through taxation, not billionaire-controlled charity. An OECD report shows these nations achieve lower inequality without relying on private philanthropy. If billionaires truly wanted to help, they wouldn't need loopholes, branding, or influence. They'd just pay their fair share. We pay our fair share of taxes. In 1913, the United States introduced the federal income tax with a clear purpose: to ensure the wealthiest Americans contributed to society. At the time, only the richest 1% paid income tax, while working-class Americans were largely unaffected. But over the past century, that balance has flipped. Now, everyday workers pay a larger share of their income in taxes than billionaires. Yet billionaires insist they're paying their fair share, but the reality is far more calculated. The ultra-wealthy have mastered legal loopholes that allow them to sidestep the tax system altogether. The belief that billionaires contribute their fair share was carefully cultivated. News headlines focus on tax rates rather than what billionaires actually pay. Companies issue press releases highlighting their compliance with tax laws. Politicians, often backed by billionaire donors, push the idea that lowering taxes on the wealthy leads to economic growth, conveniently ignoring the fact that these tax breaks rarely benefit the public. And when the numbers don't add up, they shift the blame, insisting that the real problem is government inefficiency, wasteful spending, or even low-income people who supposedly don't contribute enough. In reality, billionaires and corporations pay far less than the public assumes, often a lower percentage than middle-class workers. A 2021 ProPublica investigation found that many of the richest Americans, including Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and Warren Buffett, paid little to no federal income tax for years. Meanwhile, an IRS report revealed that the wealthiest 1% dodge about $160 billion in taxes annually through loopholes and offshore accounts. Economist Gabriel Zucman, in The Hidden Wealth of Nations, details how billionaires shield trillions of dollars in tax havens. Unlike wages, which are taxed immediately, billionaire wealth is often tied up in stocks and real estate, assets that only get taxed when sold. But rather than selling, they borrow against their assets, allowing them to live off billions while technically reporting little to no taxable income. Amazon, despite billions in revenue, has repeatedly paid near zero in federal taxes due to loopholes, deductions, and tax credits. Elon Musk and other billionaires use the buy, borrow, die strategy, avoiding taxes by taking out loans against their assets instead of selling stock. Corporations shift profits overseas, a practice so common that a U.S. Treasury report estimates over $600 billion in tax revenue is lost annually to offshore havens. The bottom line is that the system isn't broken. It's working exactly as the wealthy designed it. If billionaires truly paid their fair share, we wouldn't need to rely on their philanthropy to fund basic services. Those services would already be funded by fair taxation. Lies aren't just words. They shape policies, taxes, and expectations. They justify why billionaires get tax breaks while wages stagnate. They convince us that if we work hard enough, we'll succeed, when in reality, the system is built to keep wealth at the top. For decades, policies have been crafted around these myths. These aren't accidents, they're strategies to concentrate wealth and shape lives. The working class isn't struggling due to laziness. The system was never built for them to succeed. If you're tired of billionaire propaganda, share this video, leave a comment, and let's wake more people up. The more we expose these lies, the harder it becomes for them to control the narrative. The billionaires already have all the money. The last thing they need is your belief.